I started Atari when I was 27 years old, and there were adult supervision in those days was considered somebody in their 50s. And I always felt like I was a big poser because I tried several times to hire presidents and things like that, and I always felt that I was screwing up, but I screwed up less than anybody I tried to hire.
I mean, I feel about this very much the way I feel about protecting founders, just the same way I feel about protecting good ideas. You can't really. So it's through execution. Like if you're good at what you do and you keep being good and relevant, then there's no reason for a change. If that's not the case, then as a shareholder of your own company, you're probably better off stepping down.
Access to capital has revolutionized. Like, my first round of financing will be more money than I ever imagined existed, in the past. So it's much more formulaic now, right? There's big firms, there's a process, you come in, and you go through this whole kind of thing. So it's kind of like this venture factory. And that can be a very good thing, right? It means that there's a lot of the friction is taken out of getting a transaction done. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the pace of where you have to go and develop and create is much more rapid and frantic than it was 20, 30 years ago. I believe that in certain areas, the regulatory burden has been much more difficult. I mean, well,
that's on the go-to-market side, right? I mean,
well, no, just in factories and hiring people and things like that. I mean, we existed probably 4 years before we had a single lawsuit, and God only knows we deserved some. But it's a situation.
You're saying back in the 70s,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that I mean, when I started Chuck E. Cheese. It took us $3,000 in legal work to get the franchise agreement for California. Now it costs about $350,000. Wow. And so, California is protected from a lot of small franchises that will just never come to California, as an example. And so, if you want to be in the franchise world, California's not a good place to be, and things like that. So there are certain kinds of businesses that are regulated out of existence in certain places. And unfortunately, sometimes that's all of the United States.
There's a whole class of company, and I don't exactly know your details, but if you've lived in this world a little bit, but it's built on I'm going to set up this cool web diddly bob, and I'm going to pray to God that people start using it, and then woof, all of a sudden it takes off, and it's just sort of auto magic, right? And that's great. That's not the world I come from, right? I come from the world where we sort of build computers and things that come, it become computers and we sell them ourselves. So the YouTube and the web and all that is just a nice tool, but you still got to do the hard work of going out and getting someone to give you $1 million and put their data in your widget. And that's hard, but there's a common theme here. A lot of it, getting that first 10 customers, it comes down to that trust thing I was talking about, right? So I don't have 0 customers right now, but I'm expecting the first 10 are going to be people that knew me from a previous domain in a previous realm, and it's about people that know people, and you can never ever ever underestimate that fact, right? Your YouTube and all that is great, but at the end of the day, it's about people building products and delivering them, selling them to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what you're talking about when it comes to new distributed technology. Our experience has been that we're a very small team, 15. We're in 4 different locations, and we work just fine. And we're about to hire a new person, and I don't really care where they're based as long as they get the work done. So I mean, it's different from that viewpoint. We still felt compelled to move from Boston to the Bay Area.
Why?
Our business, because of the ecosystem that exists here around. It's not so much about funding. Our investors would not care where we're based. We cared because we wanted to keep on experimenting with our product and our business, and finding people in this ecosystem to try new things is much easier.
to build and grow a giant, valuable company, you saw it in the movie, I think you probably lived this, it takes a lot of capital. And that's not going to come from angels. So you need the institutional venture funds. And I think, just the sheer number of dollars available in venture today is a very, very good thing. Because you can have wild, ambitious plans, and there's people that can say, yeah, credibly, yeah, okay, yeah, let's take a shot at that, right? Yep, $250 million, yeah, okay. How about Tesla? Yeah, I want to build a car company. Okay, these things are within reach. So the angels are part of the mix, but I think the big, heavy engine is still the kind of institutional venture firms.
Think about capital as tiers. The lowest tier is yourself and maybe a couple of friends. Ted and I put $250 of our own money in to start our company. And we had not a penny of outside money in until we were at about 20 million in sales. So, it's a thing where you can actually grow companies without cash. You got to be tricky, but you can do it.
Smug Mug's done it. GoPro over in Half Moon Bay did it until just recently.
But then, on top of that, there's another band that's sort of between $100,000 and $1 million, which is the angel. And then above that is the venture capital. And venture capital has taken over what used to be the IPO slot. You used to do an IPO at 10 to 20 million bucks. For a lot of reasons, a lot of them regulatory, that threshold is now significantly higher. And so the VCs have had to fill in that capital gap up to companies that need to raise 50 to 100 million bucks. And so we now have, like Don Valentine's fund is a multi-billion-dollar fund right now. They need $50 million chunks to make it make sense to them. And so in some ways, a lot of venture capital is now mezzanine financing, not venturing at all, really. It's more
exactly, that's where I was going to go, especially, in my sector in high tech, what we're seeing is that the VC money has gone up in size, and we have this new breed of investors, the micro VCs, the super angels that are filling this gap up until $1.5 million, $2 million. Meanwhile, companies can do a lot more with that same money. So it's just a different business model, and I think things are still being invented today. Like micro VCs are just 3, 4, 5 years old. That's it. So this is a model that is being redefined right now.
A guy named Notch in Sweden built a game called Minecraft. I don't know if you guys have played it yet, but it's a fantastic game. I think at last count, he'd made about $180 million. One programmer, one kind, on the web. Not a bad gig in Sweden. And so, no, there's more opportunity now. Somewhere out there is another Atari, another Apple computer, another Tandem, and there's just so many things that need to be done. Every time I pick up a science fiction book, I can see how crappy this world is right now.
Are you investing in a teleport system or something like that?
Well, that's the hard part. I don't believe that I will ever invest in things that violate the laws of physics.
Okay. Stretch them, yes.
Stretch them,
no.
violate,
yes.
no.
Yeah. Okay.